Hey, it's the Math Dog here. So in this video I'm doing an introduction to adding and subtracting fractions. So particularly fractions that have different denominators. So this is a very important topic and could be introduced in late elementary, but also frankly high school students may need to review this. I noticed when I was a teacher that many students couldn't add fractions when I first got them in Algebra 1, so very important topic. Once you get the hang of it, it's not really difficult. So let's take a look at this topic and let's get started. So first of all, when you combine things, the units must be the same. So you can't just add 1 foot and 1 inch and get 2. You would have to change either feet to inches, which is 12 inches is a foot, plus 1 inch, which is 13 inches, or an inch is a 1/12 of a foot, so it's 1 1/12 feet. I mean, usually we write 1 foot, 1 inch, because we can't just combine those terms, but you cannot just go 1 and 1 is 2, just like 1 hour and 1 minute does not equal 2. Either you convert hours to minutes, you could do that. 60 minutes plus 1 minute makes 61 minutes. Or you go 1 minute is 1/60th an hour, that's 1 and 1/60th hour. Usually we often know we write it as 1 hour, 1 minute, because you can't combine the unlike units there. So that's the principle we're going to be using when we add fractions with unlike denominators. We can't just put them together. So for example, I have a common unit. This is broken up into fifths. This is broken up into fifths, 5 equal parts, these pies. So this is 2/5 and 1/5, but you can't just go 3/10. In this case, you already have a common denominator here, so you don't have to really do anything. This is just going to be a denominator of 5. That's the unit number of units we have in the fractions, and then we add 2, 1, 2 plus another one makes 3. So our final answer there is going to be 3/5, which is 3/5 of a whole. And this is, we're assuming here that each of these pies is 1 whole. So now uncommon units, again, a common mistake students make is they want to go, so this is broken in 10 parts, 3 of them, we're using 3 of them, 3/10. It's 1/5, we're using 1/5 of 5 parts. You can't just go, this is 4/15. You see that in beginning students, but you just can't do that. You got to get your pieces the same size. So in this case, we have denominators of 10 and 5, so we need to find the least common multiple of 5 and 10, which is 10, because the least common multiple is the smallest number they both divide into with no remainder. So what I'm going to do is, this is already in tenths, but I'm going to split this other piece, this other pie, into tenths also. So now we can see that is going to be, it's not drawn perfectly. So we can see this is 2/10 right here. So we now have 3/10 plus 2/10 plus 2/10 makes 5/10, but that can be reduced 5/10 because I can divide I can divide 5 into the numerator and denominator. So our final answer here is actually 1/2. But this visually shows what we're doing, but it's very inefficient. So what I do is I find my least common multiple, which is 10. This is already in tenths, but I need to multiply this other fraction by 2/2, which gives me 3/10 plus 2/10, which makes 5/10, which then we can divide 5 into the top and bottom, which gives me 1/2. Okay, and actually to represent this I'd have to break this final piece here, or this final circle, up into tenths also. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This isn't drawn perfectly, but that should be a straight line segment right there, which makes 1/2. Alright, so here again, demonstrating this, 3/10 plus 1/5, I need to multiply by 2 over 2. So that's 3 plus 2, 3/10 plus 2/10 makes 5/10, which we showed when we reduce it, that is 1/2. Okay, another example. So 1/6 plus 1/3 does not equal 2/9. What I'm going to do is I need to find the least common multiple of 3 and 6, which is 6. Smallest number they both divide into is 6. This is already in 6, but this one I have to split into, each piece I have to divide in half to make sixths. So that you can see each one of these is 1, but this is going to be just 1/6 of 1. This is 1/3 of 1. Well, this is now 2/6, so I have 1/6 plus the 2/6 here is 3/6, which again, like the last problem, I can divide top and bottom by 3, so that makes 1/2. That, again, very inefficient way of doing this. So my least common multiple is 6. So again, let's do it right here. So the least common multiple is 6, so I need to multiply 3 by 2 over 2. So I end up with 1/6 plus 2/6 is 3/6, and then I can reduce that because it has a greatest common factor of 3, both 3 and 6. As the largest number divides into both, that's what the least greatest common factor is. So that's 1/2. Okay, here I have 1/3 plus 1/4, 2/7. Each one of these big rectangles is supposed to be a whole. So this is a third of a whole, this is a fourth of a whole. So I have to find the least common multiple here of 3 and 4, and the smallest number they both divide into is 12. So the least common multiple is 12. So each of my thirds I have to subdivide into 4 pieces. Do the best I can here. So imagine those as being equal. So I now have 12. I have 4, 8, and 12. So this piece here was 1/3. This piece right here was a third. Well, you can see that also equals 4/12. Then now this other one is already in 4. This is in fourths, so I have to make 12. So I have to divide each of those pieces into, subdivide them into 3 pieces. So this was a fourth, but you can see this is supposed to be entirely shaded. This has to be 3/12. So we have 4/12 plus 3/12 is 7/12. That's our final answer. Again, visually that shows you what you're doing. Very inefficient way of doing this. So what we do is we identify our least common multiple as 12. So to make 12 out of 3, we need to multiply by 4 over 4. To make 4 into 12, we need to multiply by 3 over 3. So 1/3 times 4 over 4 is 4/12. And then 1 times 3 is 3 over 12. Makes a final answer of 7/12. Okay, so rules for adding, subtracting fractions. If the denominators are different, find the least common multiple, which is also, in this case, the least common denominator. Make equivalent fractions for each fraction being added, subtracted, combine the equivalent fractions. Those are your 3 steps. So again, if I have 3/4 plus 5/6, the least common multiple of 4 and 6, well, the smallest number they both divide into is 12. So I have 3/4 times what makes 12, so that has to be 3 there. 4 times 3 is 12, so I have to put 3 here. That's 3 over 3, which is 1. So that's not changing the value of this fraction. And then 6 times 2 is 12, so I have to take 5 times 2 also. So that's going to give me 9/12 plus 10/12, which is 19/12. That cannot be reduced, so as an improper fraction, that is the correct answer. If you want to make a mixed number, you divide 12 into 19, the bottom into the top, the denominator and denominator. 12 goes to 19 once. 1 times 12 is 12. Subtract, you get remainder 7. So that also is equivalent to 1 and 7/12. 1 and 7/12 is the mixed number equivalent to 19/12. So then in our next example, we have 7/10 minus 1/5. Again, you have to get a common unit here. That's going to be 10. So I don't have to do anything to the 7/10. I just could write that as 1 over 1. I don't even have to do anything there. Actually, I could just get rid of that. It's already in tenths. So this is going to be minus 1/5. I need to multiply 5 by 2 to get tens. So I have 2 over 2. So I end up with 7/10 minus 1 times 2 is 2 over 10, which makes 5/10. But that can be reduced because you can divide that by 5 over 5, which is 1/2. Okay, here's some problems, 3 problems for you to practice on. So stop the video, do the problems, and we'll check your work in a moment. All right, 2/3 plus 5/7. The least common multiple here is 21. So I need to multiply 3 by 7, and I have to multiply 2 by 7. Then I have to multiply 7 by 3. So I get 14 over 21 plus 15 over 21, which is 29 over 21. Well, that's an improper fraction. It's in lowest terms because the only thing you can divide into 29 and 21 is 1 evenly. But let's make it a mixed number as well. So 21 goes into 29 one time. 1 times 21 is 21. Subtract, that's 8. So as a mixed number, this is 1 and 8 over 21. Okay, next problem, number 2, least common multiple of 8 and 6. Okay, well, that would be 24. You could use 48, but that's not the least common multiple. You could use 48, but you'd have to reduce your final answer more. So the better answer would be 24. So I need to multiply 3/8 by 3 over 3, because 8 times 3 is 24, and I need to multiply 6 by 4, so I need to multiply 1 by 4. That gives me 3 times 3 over 24, that's 9 24ths. 1 times 4 is 4, so that gives me 13 24ths, and that is my final answer. I cannot reduce that. The last question, we have 3 fractions, so we need to find the least common multiple of 6, 9, and 12. Well, if you think about it, you could list it all out. You could list the factors of, or not the factors, the multiples of 6, 6, 12, 18, etc. But if you think about it a little bit, it's going to be 36. That's the smallest number they all divide into evenly. So to do this, I need to multiply 6 by 6 to get 36, so then I multiply 5 by 6, plus 1/9, I need to multiply 9 by 4. And then 12, I need to multiply by 3 to get 36, so I have 3 over 3. So that gives me 30 over 36, plus 4 over 36, minus 15 over 36. So 30 plus 4 is 34, so we have 34 minus 15. So borrowing, that becomes 2. 14 minus 5 is 9, so I get 19. So my final answer is 19 over 36. That cannot be reduced. 19 is what we call a prime number. The only factors of 19 are 1 and 19. And this concludes our video. Okay, here's some additional practice. So after I read each problem, stop the video, work it out, turn the video back on, and see if you agree with what I got. So number 1, you're going to add 3/4 plus 7/12 minus 5/8. Okay, stop the video. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. So I've got 4, 8, and 12. I need to find the least common multiple or denominator of 4, 8, and 12. Again, so what's the smallest number they all divide into? Well, 4 goes into 12, but 8 doesn't. 16 doesn't work. So it looks like it's going to be 24. So my least common denominator here in this one, which is the least common multiple, is going to be 24. So I'm going to have to multiply 3/4 by 6 over 6, multiply 7/12 by 2 over 2 to get a common denominator of 24, and multiply 8 by 3 over 3. So now I have common units. All my units are the same size, so my common denominator is 24. So 3 times 6 is 18, 7 times 2 is 14, minus 5 times 3, which is 15. So we are left with 32 minus 15, which is 17. So our final answer is 17 over 24, and that cannot be reduced because the only common factor of 17 and 24 is 1. Alright, so number 2, I have 4/5 minus 1/2 plus 5/6. So work the problem. I'll stop the video, or you stop the video, work the problem, and then turn it back on. Okay, so in number 2, the least common multiple, we need for 2, 5, and 6, okay? Well, okay, 30 is going to do the job here because 2, 5, and 6 all divide into 30 without a remainder, so my least common denominator here is going to be 30. So I need to multiply 4/5 by 6 over 6, 5 times 6 is 30, minus 1/2 times 15 over 15, plus 5 over 6 times 5 over 5. Okay, so we've now got a common denominator 30, which is what we want. So now I have 24, 4 times 6 is 24, 1 minus 1 times 15 is 15, plus 25. Okay, well I'm going to add 24 and 25 together, that's 49. So I have 49 minus 15 over 30, and that's going to be 34 over 30. Okay, first of all, that's not in lowest terms because these are both even numbers, and at least 2 always goes into even numbers. So I get 17 over 15. So that is an improper fraction, which is a correct answer, but sometimes you're going to have to multiply, write that as a mixed number, which has a whole number part and a fraction. So what I do is I divide 15 into 17. Okay, it goes in once. 1 times 15 is 15, remainder 2. So this is my whole number part. This is my fraction part. I'll just call it frac here. And this is my denominator, denom. So as a mixed number, this would be 1 and 2 fifteenths. 1 whole number and 2 fifteenths. Another way to look at 17 fifteenths, so this is the way you want to be able to do it. It's quick, but you can write this as 15 fifteenths plus 2 fifteenths. Okay, that's 1 whole, so this is 1 and 2 fifteenths. That's another way to look at it. But you really want to be able to do it this way with the long division. So that's another skill you really need to get good at, is long division. Okay, number 3, I got 3, 5, and 15. So that's 1/3 minus 1/5 plus 4 fifteenths. Stop the video, work the problem, and see if you get what I get. Okay, so my least common multiple here of 3, 5, and 15 is going to be 15 because actually 3 and 5 divide into 15 evenly. You could use 30, but you're going to have to reduce your answer more than if you just use 15. So my least common denominator then is also going to be 15. So I need to multiply 1/3 by 5 over 5 to get 15. I need to multiply 1/5 by 3 over 3 to get 15. I need to multiply 4/15 by nothing because I want to multiply it by 1 over 1, so I don't need to do anything because it's already 15. So I have 5 minus 3 plus 4 over 15, which is 5 plus 4 is 9 minus 3 is 6, so I get 6/15. So that is the answer, an answer, but it's not in lowest terms because notice that 3 divides into both 6 and 15. So I can write this as 2/5 as my final answer, and that is, if you're doing a multiple choice test, you're going to have to, your answer is probably going to be in lowest terms, so you need to know how to reduce a fraction to lowest terms when that opportunity presents itself. Okay, so this concludes the video on adding and subtracting fractions, or the basic introduction to it. So if you found this video informative and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, The Math Dog. You may share the content of this video with others. Thank you and have a good day.